This podcast is presented by Skies Magazine. If you're interested in the Canadian aviation industry, Skies is your go-to multimedia resource for the latest news, in-depth features, stunning photography, and insightful video coverage. Whether you're an aviation professional or enthusiast, Skies is dedicated to keeping you informed and bringing your passion for aviation to life. Visit skiesmag.com to learn more and subscribe to stay updated on all things Canadian aviation.
Fuel and ignition switches on. RPM switches set. TD switches normal. Doors and hatches closed. Lay down. Strobe light on. Restart check is complete. Clear left. Engineers, start number 2. Starting 2. Wing 310, Pilot Project Podcast, clear takeoff, runway 31 left.
All right, we're ready for departure here at the Pilot Project Podcast, the best source for stories and advice from RCAF and mission aviation pilots, brought to you by Skies Magazine. I'm your host, Brian Morrison. With me once again today are Jason Shaw and Vince C. Benoit of 435 Transport and Rescue Squadron. Jason is a pilot on the CC-130H Hercules, and Vince is a search and rescue technician, or SAR Tech. Guys, welcome to the show, and thanks again for being here.
No problem. Thanks for having us.
Listeners can go back to our previous episode to hear about both Jason and Vince's training experiences in their careers. For today, we're going to talk about a rescue the two of them and their crew took part in just over a year ago in December of 2023 when an Air Tindi flight crashed in the Northwest Territories. Jason was the SAR aircraft commander, and Vince was the SAR Tech team leader. So before we start, let's get some background information on the crash. On December 27th, 2023, a Twin Otter operated by Air Tindi crashed into a hill about 300 kilometers north of Yellowknife, Northwest Territories, and 16 kilometers southeast of the Diavik diamond mine. The Twin Otter was fitted with skis and crashed while attempting to land on Lac de Gras. 10 people were on board and survived the crash with various levels of injury. Air Tindi President Chris Reynolds told the local news that the flight crew was circling over the landing area looking for snowdrifts. They hadn't committed to landing yet. They didn't realize they had descended into basically a whiteout. The only time they realized that they had descended was when they saw a hill in front of them, and that's basically where they impacted. So Jason, what did this day look like for you? What standby posture were you and your crew holding when this all took place?
Yeah, so the plane crash happened there's a 2-week period where our squadron is pretty much operating on an on-call basis. So on think of it like an extended weekend posture from home. So during that 2 weeks, we have 4 different crews during that time that are rolling through. So at any given time, there's a crew on 2-hour posture and a backup crew, which is on like a 12-hour available posture. So for the most part, the techs are still going into the hangar every day to do their daily checks on the aircraft. But that's it. The air crews are just going to be at home. So everyone manages a little bit differently, depending on where you live. But generally speaking, you have to be ready to, after receiving the tasking, be on your way into work within 5 or 10 minutes.
And what's the process for a rescue asset to get tasked with a mission?
Well, we get tasked by JRCC, Joint Rescue Coordination Center, Trenton. They're going to get the info on a plane crash through a variety of means. That particular crash, it had a 406 ELT.
An ELT is an emergency locator transmitter beacon,
which in that center in Trenton, they have an ability to track as well. I believe they're also communicating with them on the ground, some of the survivors of the plane crash. So JRCC puts that task together. They decide on the asset that's best suited to prosecute that tasking, and they tasked us.
Okay. Jason, can you describe the initial call and the information you received? What was your immediate reaction upon learning of the plane crash?
Yeah, so it was about 1 or 2 in the afternoon. The way it works is JRCC calls the aircraft commander first, and they start giving me all the information they have for the tasking. And then once I accept it, they call the rest of the crew, the techs that we need to go in and tow the aircraft, fuel it, and any additional assets we need to get launched. So they had a pretty thorough, I'd say, package of information at that point, thanks to the 406 and just some other information they had. Aircraft, for example, aircraft registration, type of aircraft, its exact coordinates, what time it had crashed, the number of people on board, which there were some changes there, some general info on their medical conditions, and even some We had an initial extraction plan for our SAR Techs, and then they had some information on some additional assets that were being pointed to that direction as well. So getting all that, like from my perspective, within the first 4 or 5 minutes on the phone, you can't really ask for much more than that. Because a lot of times when we get tasked, they have some information, but they know it's going to be hours until we actually get on scene.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to kind of trickle in as it comes. But for that one, pretty much all we needed. Yeah. And some stuff got refined a little bit later on, but generally it was like, this is the plane crash. This is where it is. This is what's on the ground. We want you to go there and deploy the SAR Techs. Like I said, a loose kind of estimation of the extraction plan.
What's the feeling when you get a call like this? Like at this point, is it pretty old hat? Like, are you pretty used to it, or do you feel calm, or do you feel a sense of urgency when you get these calls?
Yeah, I think at this point I'm used to it. I just want to make sure that I'm getting all the information they have, that I'm asking all the right questions. They do a good job of pushing out everything they have, but I'm just making sure like that initial few minutes I'm on the phone with, I have everything I need to kind of make a plan that's going to be suitable. There's sometimes, not so much anymore, but maybe a little earlier on, you feel a different, maybe the initial phone call or different points in the mission, you can kind of feel a little bit of that adrenaline coming up. I've learned it's not really useful for my job.
Yeah.
Maybe it is for other trades in the SAR crew, but I found I just kind of have to push that down. It doesn't help. It doesn't help you make decisions. It doesn't help you hear and understand all the information you're being told.
For sure.
So yeah, it's just, if you were just to be like listening to me in my kitchen on the phone, you wouldn't even know what I was really, it would sound like another phone call, I'm sure. And I'm kind of sitting there writing some stuff down with my iPad, and a couple of early decisions that have to be made from that is whether we want to load up extra fuel, because if we want to do that, they got to start getting the guys that are going to fuel the aircraft called in right away as well. So
yeah, because that'll take a while.
Yeah, and the sooner they can know, like have that request, that can make that happen sooner as well.
Mm-hmm. Now, you mentioned that they had basically like all the information you needed. Is that fairly rare when there's a plane crash?
Having that much information right in that initial tasking is probably the best I've ever gotten.
Yeah.
I mean, usually you have more than you need to get launched, and the stuff is going to come as they get it, because they know it's going to be an hour or two before we're actually taking off when they task us. And then we have like a 3.5 hour transit up there.
Mm-hmm.
So it is no big deal if they're still working on some of the information and we're just pointed in that direction, flying there. We're going to get it. But
because you can like refine the plan as you go, basically, as they feed you information during the transit.
Yeah. As long as we have the basics, where it is, what to expect, what the overall intent of the mission is.
Mm-hmm.
But that plane, the 406, was on a flight plan and I had a sat phone on board.
Yeah.
So not a lot of flyers have all of that.
I'm pretty sure, I don't want to misquote them, but by the time they tasked us, you might know this as well, I think they were actually talking to them on the phone. That's how they had some of the casualty conditions. And
the pilot was talking to the owner of the company, and the owner of the company was talking to RCC.
So to get that in that initial phone call, I mean,
that's pretty huge.
What else do we really need, right? I'm just thinking, making sure we're happy with the extraction plan, and that you're usually not going to get a detailed extraction plan right then, because they're still working on that as well.
Yeah. So when you get that call, how do you divide up the tasks in order to take off as soon as possible?
The great thing about that is I don't have to do that. Everyone on the crew is qualified professional in their job. So it's not a matter of me tasking each crew member what to do. Like, you're
not like, hey, you got to do this, you got to do that.
So I'll walk through a little bit of what the crew does. So we have the pilot, the two pilots, the aircraft commander, and the first officer. And then we also have the navigator, who's an AXO. The FO and the nav, they're doing a lot of the flight planning, weather NOTAMs. So I'm just going to tell them the intent of what I want for the flight plan and maybe a little guidance there. And they're going to get working on filing it. And even in that case, like our FO came up with some good ideas that I didn't even thought of, because I just kind of gave them the general intent, right?
Mm-hmm.
The flight engineer and loadmaster, they're at the plane. They're pre-flighting it, getting it ready to go. The techs are, they're fueling it, towing it. If they have any problems, those guys, they might call me, and I can maybe from my end help resolve them. And the SAR Techs, like, I'm definitely not telling Vince what to bring, what to do. He's taking care of all that. In this case, he even went out and got a third SAR Tech based on the information he had got about the situation on the ground. So yeah, I'm not tasking people, telling them what to do. It's more just kind of making sure everything's flowing in the right direction and solving problems as they come. And I'm reaching back to JRCC a couple times during that process and checking to make sure there's any updated information.
Okay. So it's more of a collaborative process.
Everyone's doing their job.
Vince, what was the first you heard of this mission, and how does the SAR Tech team get the call?
I was actually in Winnipeg running some errands with the family. And then we got the call. So my partner at the time, she dropped me off with right in front of the hangar door, kiss my kids, say, don't know when I'm going to come back. Love you, bye. That's normally how it happens. You don't know when you're going to come back. Because at that point, we knew it was a confirmed crash and we knew we were authorized to jump, which is not always the case. Sometimes you're waiting for more information along the way. And as the mission develops, you're asked for permission to deploy asset. This case was pre-approved, 10 people. That's why we called in an extra SAR Tech. Normally, we operating team of 2, and that's it. Team of 2 for 10 patients. You get overwhelmed pretty fast. So I elected to bring a third one. Hindsight, I would love to have a fourth.
Yeah.
For 10 people. I think next time I'll bring more if schedule permits. That's always a concern. But so how did the SAR Tech get call? Well, RCC's calling the aircraft commander, and then RCC's going to call wing ups, and wing ups going to go down the recall list, and then flight engineer, team lead, team member, and all that. If we want extra manpower, we just call directly or other SAR Techs that are available in the area at that time.
Okay. So how does your team prepare for a call like this, and how do you decide what to bring?
It's always look the same. We rush to the hangar and start pre-flighting. So we confirm, making sure all our equipment's in order. We have operational parachute. That's just an example. We have operational parachute there in the aircraft that we don't use on a normal training day. We only use for op jump. I'm on the ground. I'm at the hangar. I make sure those two are 100% correct.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big thing, because if I show up 3.5 hours in the Arctic and I tell you, well, my parachute's not working, that's a big deal. So that's just one example. So we go through all our gear. Same, a firefighter would do that before his shift. So we do the exact same thing every morning. On a call out is no different. And then when it comes to mission planning, when I receive the call, I always ask myself, do I need to bring extra equipment while I'm still here? Do I need to bring extra manpower or women power? Because we got wicked female SAR Techs, so let's not forget them. Do I need extra people? And can I execute that mission on my own with my own asset? Should I request RCC to task other units for that? And I also look at the weather. Although not my job, I'd like to be prepared and know what I'm getting into.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know we'll talk about the weather for that one, but when I pulled the weather, it was the first thing that popped to my eyes was a low-level jet at 60 knot coming from the north. So I was already thinking about that on my way into the hangar door.
Yeah, and just for listeners, that's basically a low-level jet stream is exactly what it sounds like. It's like a low-level high band of wind moving through the area, and 60 knots is probably close to 100 kilometers or so an hour. So that's very fast. So we just started talking about that. Jason, did you have any concerns when you looked at all the variables for this mission?
Yeah, 2 things popped out right away. The weather and night. And well, I guess 3 with night in the Arctic.
Yeah.
So talked a little bit about the weather. I'll paint a little bit of a broader picture. So that crash area was northeast of Yellowknife. Just north of that area, there was a low pressure system that was slowly moving through since that afternoon. And kind of all that nasty weather that wraps around a low pressure system, that jet included. So really on the forecast on the GFA, there was forecasted severe low level turbulence. That was probably my biggest concern. And then really anything below 1,000 feet, it's going to be low visibility, blowing snow, and then just multiple layers of cloud wrapping around that low.
So really nasty stuff.
Yeah. So everywhere when you do pilot training, they bring up a GFA and you never go anywhere where all the colors are,
Yeah.
right? Well, like we pointed exactly at that. So
As SAR often does.
Yep.
Did you have a plan fully formed when you took off, or do you take off as soon as possible and then finish the plan en route? We've kind of mentioned that, but
Yeah, and it's kind of Vince alluded to it as well. I think him and I maybe had not even like a 5-minute conversation on the ground, because he's got his job to do. I got my job to do. Just make sure we're both kind of on the same page. Yeah, we're probably going there to do a jump. That's kind of like the agreement. How exactly? Well, we'll figure that out in the way. And on the way, we didn't spend hours and hours drawing up these detailed plans. It's like we had kind of, I would say, like 3 templates. First option, we want to get there, jump the SAR Techs as soon as we can to the plane crash. That's why we're going. But we need a certain amount of weather to do that, certain ceilings. So if we didn't have that when we got there, we talked about dropping some equipment first, and then maybe the ceilings would improve. A little less favorable because now there's no one on the ground to receive that equipment, and there was high winds as well. And third option, as part of the mission planning, when we took off from Winnipeg, we uploaded just about the maximum amount of fuel that the Herc can take, which would have, depending on where our bingo plan was, would have given us like about 4 hours on scene. So kind of least favorable of all the options to go up there and just wait till the weather improved, because that low was moving through kind of on the scale of hours. But so it's really like those 3 plans. Maybe Vince and I talk about kind of some of the details of how the sequences are going to go, and we're just going to see what the weather is, because at night it's almost like a playbook of things we have, of maneuvers and sequences we can do to accomplish our job, and it's just adapting to what we actually see on the ground and what the weather's doing.
Okay.
We talked a lot about bingo plan as well.
Yeah,
that's a big part of because once you get dropped off in the middle of nowhere, you want to know where your asset is going. And big picture, what's the best outcome for that asset and what's quickest recovery we can get from it.
Yep. So, Vince, did you guys have to bring any extra gear for this mission?
Yeah, we brought extra, like warm equipment, like extra tents, extra hypothermia kit, because we carry a lot of equipment on the Herc. It's insane the amount of gear we carry, but we're not set up for 10 patient in that type of cold environment. So we grab tents, sleeping bags, and all that stuff. That we all have that gear ready at the hangar.
Okay. So Vince, what are SAR Techs doing during the transit to a crash site? Are you making any preparations or running any drills?
Every team lead is going to run his mission differently. The way I approach it, the same way as I was doing back in the Army, is we always tackle group equipment first, followed by personal equipment, followed by hydrate, eat, and rest. So we had 3.5 hours to go up there. We prepped all the hypothermia equipment, all the big bundles that the aircraft can drop to us. Everything that was critical was rigged, followed by all our personal equipment. So we jump heavy bags in front of us. That's medical gear. That's our own survival equipment for cold weather. That's firearms for bear protection. Name it. Electronics for medical, food, all that stuff. And then on board, we had the loadmaster, and I asked him to cook us some warm meal because we have 3.5 hours. So we cooked the entire crew a warm meal. We had a warm breakfast before going out because we knew we would be busy there the entire night. I said breakfast; it was dinner time, followed by rest. So I put my team members to sleep.
Yeah,
I assure you, I didn't sleep at all because your brain just keeps thinking and planning with Jay. But that's kind of the order of things that we do.
Okay.
So when we show up to on scene, we're fully dressed and ready to go. And if you can get an hour of eyes closed, it's always good.
For sure.
There's a few moments of the mission that kind of stick out, just random little things, and hearing him come on the intercom and ask the loadmaster to get some hot meals. Like, that's not something we would do at that point in the mission usually. And he's looking to get his guys fed because, you're on the ground now for probably at least 12 hours at that point. So I remember thinking like, wow, that's for real now.
Yeah, it's good thinking. So Jason, how did you find the downed aircraft in this mission?
Okay, so we took off with our tasking. We had the coordinates from the 406 CLT, so the exact lat long. And then we have kit on the Herc as well that can track an ELT. Most pilots could understand, like on an EHSI, simple needle.
Yeah.
And we set up the kit, and we call it DF needle. So really that's it. I took it a little bit slower entering the search area with the concerns of the severe low level turbulence. We just kind of wanted to work our way in a little slower than we normally would, kind of check it out 1,000 feet at a time, stepping down to make sure it was everything that we could deal with. But then once we got there, the kit, what we saw in the kit was coinciding with the coordinates they gave us. So we found it electronically first.
Okay.
We were in cloud, and we can see we're passing over, and our kit with the station passage, the needle flipping, much like passing over an ADF.
Yep.
Indicates that we're in that area.
Yeah. And for the non-pilots listening, basically he's saying when he says an ADF, it's automatic direction finder. It's a type of navigational aid, but the point is the needle will point to this source, this radio source in this case. And when you fly directly over it, the needle's pointing straight ahead of you. And then as you fly over top, it spins around and now it's pointing behind you because you just flew past it. So that's how you know you've just flown over top. And
you're in the area, you still might have some work to do to actually physically find it, get your eyes on it, but at least you know you're probably within like a mile radius around it at that point.
Okay. So you arrived on scene about 7 p.m. local time. What were the conditions at the time?
Yeah, so I talked about working our way through potential turbulence on the way in. Didn't find it was anything that we couldn't deal with initially. So when we arrived, how we do it is we descend initially to like a minimum IFR safe altitude at night. So something like a couple thousand feet up there just to make sure we're safe. What we initially saw, what we were seeing is winds, probably about 50 knots at altitude, about 3,000 feet and up, and increasing a little bit as we descended. Multiple cloud layers from 2,000 to 5,000 feet. And then below 1,000 feet, I think the best way to describe it is pretty much a blizzard, right? Blizzard below 1,000 feet, low vis,
wow.
Blowing snow, high winds.
So pretty ugly.
Yep.
How challenging is flying the Hercules in those kinds of conditions?
You got to put it in context what we're trying to do. We're trying to provide a stable platform for the guys in the back. So a stable platform for them to work, basically, whether it's observing out the windows, getting dressed to jump, or when they actually jump. So trying to fly the Herc accurately, going from like a 50-knot headwind to a 50-knot tailwind in wind shear at night, and trying to do it in a way that it's stable for everyone to actually do their job in the back. It's pretty challenging. In that environment, it's kind of any of the pilots could probably understand, it's kind of like a hybrid cross check. It's like a lot of the time you're inside on the instruments, airspeed, altitude, the navigation instruments, but everything is also outside. So you're trying to, like when we're doing the drops, you're flying mostly off the instruments, but you're also outside trying to line up two little small light dots to do the actual drops. So
sounds really hard.
Well, you kind of bring all those moose jaw skills in.
Yeah.
VFR flying, IFR flying, and you're kind of night flying, and you're kind of mashing it all into one thing.
Can you tell us how you clear the area of obstacles in those kinds of conditions, and how do you find the aircraft visually?
So I talked a little bit about the playbook of things we use. So we call that a training target assessment. So essentially, we show up at an altitude that's safe for us. We're going to drop a flare, and then we're going to descend around the flare, and the flare is just basically illuminating the area. And the first step is we're trying to make sure the area out to a few miles is safe for us to operating in. So during that time, the other pilot's going to be flying, and me and Vince, I'm out my window, he's out the side, and we're just communicating. We're looking for terrain obstacles, low-lying fog, maybe power lines, anything that's going to make it unsafe for us to operate within that few miles. We're happy with that. Now we're going to keep descending, and now we're actually trying to find the target. So this occurs all after we've located the target electronically, and we put that in basically the kit of our aircraft. So now we're around where we know the target should be, and we were really fortunate on that first flare. We actually saw the aircraft. So as we're talking, look outside, and I still remember to see the intact aircraft on the tundra floor. Me and Vince are talking. I'm sure at that point he's also trying to pick out a DZ for where they could potentially jump.
And for the listeners, a DZ is a drop zone.
I think maybe one of the SAR Techs saw a tent at that point, but really big moment in the mission, and really fortunate for that to happen on that first pass like that, because that can take. We could have had to climb up and try flares like multiple times to have that happen. That was the only time I ever saw the aircraft the entire mission.
Oh wow!
Yep. The rest of the time flying, it was a light or whatever, something they'd put to kind of so I could see what the down aircraft was.
Wow! So that's pretty lucky.
Yep.
So Vince, as part of all this, you were able to confirm that the ceilings were above the minimum to jump, but the winds were twice the training limits you would normally work with. What are the extra risks when parachuting into these kinds of conditions, especially with all the extra gear you had to jump with?
So just to put it in perspective, our training limit at night would be 20 knots. The wind on that specific jump was above 50. I don't have the exact number on the ground, but it was, as I described on my first radio check, it was sporty. So people often describe SAR Tech as cowboy, because we parachute, we ski, we climb mountains, we do all that stuff, but it's quite the opposite, actually. We're flying, we're getting into that nasty weather, and I'm assessing the risk, same as Jay's doing up front. I have 2 brand new team members in the back. They have kids at home. I just kissed my 2 kids goodbye.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not something we take lightly. I would not jump in 50 knot wind on a normal training day.
Yeah.
But there's 10 people there that are dying from the element, really, that needs help. So what do? Right? Of course, you can't take a harsh or drastic decision just based on the sole fact that there's people that need help. But it weighs in the equation for sure. Like, we would be lying if we'd said otherwise. So you kind of tackle those risk factor one at a time, and you kind of dissect it. So the way I see it is, Jay and I are kind of dancing. We show up on scene. He's got his plate full. He's flying into that. I got the thing I want to do, but we don't want to step on each other's toes, and we just dance with what we got. So I'm in the window looking. He's head down and up flying, and we kind of do our best to make it smooth. And everybody is on comms. So if one of us step on each other's toes, we lose the pace.
Mm-hmm.
So we're kind of dancing together, and then we're assessing the risk. And yes, it was high risk, but high reward. It was also, I was confident we could execute it because of the way we train our people, because of my trust in the procedure, because we train them all the time, and my trust in the crew around me. I knew we could execute it. But that's not a decision I took on my own, and Jay didn't force me to do it. We came up with the best course of action. And I remember pausing before I stepped out, before I went off comms. After my brief, I was like, okay, crew, like this is a pretty spicy one. Is there anything I forgot? Is there anybody in the crew that's not comfortable with that right now? Now's the time to speak. Because of course my 2 team members are going to say, yeah, we're going.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. They're always going to say, yeah, we're good. Yeah, it's a crew decision.
Mm.
The AC team lead kind of relationship, like he alluded to it. I can't order them to jump, nor would I want to. But everything that leaves the aircraft is on my authority as well.
Mm.
So it gives us no choice but to actually work together. And if we're not, it's just not going to work.
Mm. That's interesting. So what's going through your head when you're about to parachute into a remote location in the dark?
Again, the safety. I did not realize it at the time. That's hindsight. It took a lot from me to take that decision and put my members into harm's way, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something we took lightly, but again, we were trained for it, and it went well. Yeah.
So we mentioned that you'd be jumping with a lot of gear. What exactly were you jumping in with?
So yeah, every SAR Techs are jumping with what's called a SAR PELs. I don't know what the acronym stands for, but it's a bag that's strapped to the front of your parachute and connected to your leg, and it's mounted in front of you. And in addition to that, you can put an extender bag in front, and you can even add a snowshoe bag. So you have in this mission, we had 100-pound strap in front of us, like medical gear, survival gear, food, water.
That's crazy.
Because we need to survive for a minimum 24 hours, no matter what condition we're in. What if all of the rest of our equipment get lost? What if as soon as I leave the ramp, the aircraft got RTB for an emergency? Now I'm stuck in the middle of the Arctic in a blizzard at night. I need that gear. So yeah, medical gear, electronics, survival equipment. I jump a shotgun for bear protection because or wolf protection because sometimes we need protection. Ended up not needing it. Even polar bears didn't want to go out at that time. That night. Yeah, about 100 pounds.
That's crazy. That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So Jason, walk us through what happens during the jump from your perspective.
So again, it goes back to our playbook. There's a couple options we have to get SAR Techs into a location at night. This procedure, essentially we go to our drop altitude. We opted to jump them at 2,000 feet that night. And we drop a wind drift indicator, which is just like a giant, it's like we call it a disco ball. And it's just a green disco ball, lights up. And that kind of tells us what the winds are doing. So then we get our timing off of that. We climb up a few thousand feet for the flares. We're going to drop flares upwind of the target so they kind of flow back over the target. We're going to descend down over the target using that wind drift indicator. SAR Techs are going to jump out. And then we're going to climb back up as quick as we can to get a second set of flares out. So our goal is to make this whole thing illuminated for them. There's illumination in the sky when they jump, and there's illumination in the sky when they land. We need two sets of flares just because they don't last. Like one set wouldn't last the entire time. That was the procedure we used. We didn't really make anything up with that. We did it the same way we would do it when we train multiple times a week.
Okay.
Doing what we call Flare X. It's like a night trainer. The only difference was now there's the high winds, and now we're going through layers of clouds as we're dropping the flares, which isn't ideal as well.
Yeah, like are the flares still effective when there's a bunch of layers?
Yeah, well, yeah, because the wind just pushed them so
that's
so
the thing
fast.
too. When the winds are that high, we have to drop. The idea is that we drop the flares, and kind of at the halfway burn time through the flares, they're over the target. So when they first go out of the plane, when it's winds that high, they're like 3 miles upwind of the target. Right. Which I think when we got the second set out, they were landing, and like, yeah, there was a second set of flares, but they were like miles. So it's a challenge. It's
So in those conditions, like not only are they far away, but they could have layers of cloud between them. And
yeah, I tried to mitigate it as best I could. We dropped them lower than we normally would, but at the same time, it's a challenge.
Yeah.
KF Aerospace, Canada's largest MRO and founding partner in SkyAlign for the Future Aircrew Training Program, is proud to be the exclusive North American dealer for the Grobe 120TP. The Grobe 120TP is a world-class training aircraft, combining turbine power, advanced avionics, side-by-side seating, and full aerobatic capability. Already trusted by the German Air Force, Canada's Future Aircrew Training Program, and militaries worldwide, it's built to deliver performance and reliability. With its versatility, the Grobe 120TP is the ideal platform for both military training and civilian programs, including upset recovery training. Go to kfaero.ca, that's kfaero.ca, to learn more and get in touch with us.
So Vince, tell me about the jump from your perspective. What was it like?
Well, I led the stick. Depending on the scenario, sometimes the team lead will I like to go first or last. In that case, I wanted to lead the guys in. Just to give you an idea, when we do high wind jump, because we train here in Shiloh all the time and do night jump. normally if I have a 30-second count from the target to my exit point, it's windy. That night, and I'm talking about like 3,000 feet or 3,500. That night we jumped from 2 and I had over a minute count.
Wow.
So picture, I don't know in distance.
So you had to be a minute upwind from the target so that the wind would blow you back towards the target.
Yeah.
And we're flying at 120 knots during all that, right? So you can do the math, figure out like how far upwind they're leaving the plane to make it back to the target. And we're trying to get flares over them at that same point.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we jumped over a minute past. And we mentioned there's a blizzard from 0 to 1,000, right? So that target, you could see it when you flew right over top because you can see through snow,
Mm-hmm.
but you can't see it at a distance. So I got out. I knew because of my procedure, I knew my flare was on my right and I knew I was going in the right direction, but I lost the target. I'll be honest with you, I lost the target. And that was probably for 10, 15 seconds, maybe 30. That was a long time in my head because there's nothing.
Yeah.
It's Arctic. It's in the dark. There's not a single light. But I got it. And then that's just experience going into play. I just burned some altitude as fast as I could, knowing that I would land backward into target. Right? Or parachute, depending on the way you load it, it's like a plane. You want to land into wind all the time. You want to point your nose in the wind. It goes about 25 knot forward speed, depending on how you load it. That night we're kind of heavy, so we would give you a full 25 knot wind speed. So it would give you, if I point it in a 25 knot wind, I would go straight down. If that makes sense.
Yeah, because it moves you forward at 25 knots.
That's right.
If in still air.
That's right.
Right.
Well, if it's 50 knots, I know I'm going to land backward.
Right.
Very fast. And I briefed my guys for it because not to go into technical details with parachuting, I can chop my main parachute, but there's a system that connects to that main that will deploy your reserve automatically. So when in iWin, you want to disconnect that.
Yeah. As
soon as you have a good parachute over top of you, you disconnect that because if you need to chop it, you don't want your reserve to deploy and then now your reserve to drag you across the tundra at 50 knot. So that's what we did. I found the target and we landed within 200 feet of the plane perfectly. As soon as we touched the ground, we cut that parachute away. We didn't want to get dragged because, from the air, it looks, the tundra in the winter, especially that time of the year, it looks like salt and pepper. So salt is good to land on, pepper is rock. And the rocks are pretty big.
Yeah.
So you don't want to get dragged across the tundra on those rocks. So yeah, no, it went pretty well.
That sounds crazy. So what did you see when you landed at the crash site?
Well, so first thing, always get in touch with the plane. So Jay was pretty happy to hear my voice. And I recall saying, it's pretty sporty here. And when I said that, it's because the full reality of it kind of hits you.
And you could hear on the radio he was in a blizzard.
Yeah. What's that like for you to hear them once they get to the ground?
Once they're out, we lose them pretty quick at night because we immediately start maneuvering for the flares. So they're just gone. And really the next thing is we're just going to orbit overhead, continuing to provide flares until we hear from them.
Mm-hmm.
So that jump, yeah, it's just hoping it worked out. Just waiting and hearing and I remember that little bit of kind of comedy or just upbeat in his voice. It's, you can read a lot from that.
Yeah.
And that kind of set for me, the second phase of the mission. I was just oh, thank God that worked out.
Yeah.
We made the right decision and we went forward from there.
So we landed 100 feet, 200 feet behind the plane.
Okay.
So towards the tail. And that plane was stuck on top of we call it 30-foot cliff snow bank. And so the flares were dispatched upwind of that plane. And I remember looking in the blizzard there's that plane on top. There's a tent that looks like a scene from Everest. It was just pinned down by the wind because they were on top of that cliff.
Oh, yeah.
And with the flare shadow, it looked pretty grim and intense. That hit me. Like, I was like, oh, that's something you don't see every day, right? So we approached the scene. We got together. Everybody was safe. We grabbed their gear and started approaching the scene. And then we checked in with the people in the tent. Initially, there were 6 in the tent. And then 4 were stuck in the plane still. So we just checked in with them initially. And then I left one team member at the tent. And the other, Alex. So Matt stayed at the tent. And Alex and I went to the plane.
So when you say they were stuck in the plane, like they were too injured to move type thing, or?
2 of them were injured. So the plane, the way it landed is they saw that snowbank last second. They flared because they were configured to land.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not a pilot, and I don't want to talk too much in detail about how it happened, but the short of it is they saw it last minute. They flared, I think, and they kind of bellied. They hit the front ski, and they bellied in that snow and stopped right there.
Okay.
In front of it, remember the rock, the big boulders? There's boulders, square boulders the size of a couch in front of it.
Oh, wow.
So a feet higher, different outcome. A feet lower, different outcome.
Mm.
So they although unfortunate, I think they reacted in appropriately in time and kind of saved everybody. But picture that plane just like hitting hard and bellying. Everybody, it hit hard, pretty hard in there. Everybody had a back issue.
Oh, yeah.
If you compound that to pre-existing medical conditions and 8 hours of being sitting in a cold plane, that was kind of the medical issue, I guess. I don't want to talk too much in detail about it.
We have to respect their privacy. And
yeah, but they were hurt and they were stuck in there.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 of them, the pilot and another member, was in there to attend and help them. 6 other were in the tent, all with minor injuries.
Was there any like heat source in the plane or anything, or did they just have blankets?
Yeah, candles.
Okay.
The thing is, that plane was on top of that 30-foot cliff.
So the wind is just...
The wind is pounding it.
Yeah.
And the tail is dangling off the edge, like you would see in a movie. So nobody wanted to go near the tail.
Yeah.
So they had blankets. The thing is, I know we're always being hard on pilots because you guys don't like to dress heavy in the cockpit, right?
Yeah.
They were all dressed to go work. The plan was for that plane to land on Lac de Gras and offload them into Arctic to work.
Yeah.
So they're all dressed with...
They were dressed for the Arctic.
Heavy gear, and that's what saved their life, really.
Wow.
Because they were equipped. Because imagine if all that equipment was in suitcase in the tail that they can't access.
Yeah.
Different outcome, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. What was morale like on the ground when you arrived? I imagine they were pretty happy to see you.
They were happy, but I was the Debbie Downer very, very fast.
Oh, yeah?
It's like, hey, we're here. Oh, we're happy to see you. But I'm like, we're going to spend the night here. There's no rescue till the morning. So don't stop fighting right now. That was pretty blunt with that. Pretty honest right off the hop. SAR Techs are never going to promise you something. They're never going to lie to you for stuff like that. So I told him, you'll be here till the morning. You got to keep fighting. And I think it hit them, but at least they knew what to expect.
Mm. So Jason, while the team's jumping in and evaluating the scene, what are you folks up in the aircraft doing now? What kind of updates are you receiving, and what do you do with that information?
Well, initially we're just trying to let them do their job. He's going to give me updates as he has them. I know he has to dig out the radio from his jacket. It's not just like it's in his hand at all times. So JRCC is asking me for updates. I pass that on, and I know that they're working on that, trying to get the updates. We've kind of switched into like a support role a little bit. We know that we're going to have the follow-on equipment drops. That's been rigged by the SAR Techs and Loadmaster on the way up. we're kind of starting to get set up for that. We're getting the plane in a position, in an orbit where we're going to get ready to drop the follow-on bundles. Around the same time, so we had been told in the tasking that there's going to be a team of mine rescue guys from the Diavik Diamond Mine coming down in snowmobiles at some point. And I had a different radio frequency for them. Had that in one radio, and then I had the radio with the SAR Techs in the other. And around that time, before we started doing the bundles and after they jumped, I just heard those guys come up on the radio, and they, hey, Herc overhead, we're from the Diavik Diamond Mine. So given the terrain, they were working their way down there, but they couldn't actually see the crash site just due to the weather and the undulating terrain. So we would kind of fly over the top of where the target was, and I would tell them as we're in the turn, okay, we're over top of the target now. That would be enough for them to kind of point in that direction a little bit. But at some point, that just wasn't enough. I think this part I'm a little unclear. I can't quite remember. I think maybe one of the SAR Techs heard what was going on and on his own just fired up a couple of flares. I think it might have been Matt. And that was that last little link. Like, hey, we see the flares, and they just married up.
Okay.
So they arrived there. But yeah, kind of big picture for the mission at that point. We just switch into an overhead. We're in a support role, whatever they need.
So Vince, once you located all the survivors, what comes next in terms of treating them?
I guess to circle back to my TCCC training, what we learn on the TCCC is, right, it's combat care, combat treatment. And a big part of it is care under fire. You don't do anything medically fancy when you're getting shot at. Well, now, fortunately, nobody shoot at me anymore, but I still have threat. Being in an Arctic blizzard is one of them. There's nothing medical, nothing fancy medical that's going to happen before we got shelter in place. So that's when I call in for support.
Okay.
For equipment drop, with the goal of putting everybody into shelter, so we can start doing medicine. Then what happened at that point is the 4-person rescue team from the mine joined, and it was a bit of an awkward conversation because it didn't comprehend. We just jumped from the plane, so we had to take a minute, explain. And they told us how cool they think that is. I was like, cool. But we got a job to do. Like, okay, you're the boss. Tell us what you want. I'm like, perfect. So now I have 4 hard working men with 2 snowmobiles that I can use. Circle back to previous experience. Now use every single asset or piece of gear you can to execute the mission. So big concern of mine was that dangling plane with 4 people in it. So they got to work into securing that, just tying it down in the snow to 1 snowmobile. So now I lost 1 snowmobile, but I was sure that the plane wouldn't move. And then it was so windy that I wanted to have another snowmobile on standby to go recover those bundles. So I kind of instruct them that and give them the intent. And at the same time, Jay was setting up to do drop.
Okay. And that really brings me to my next question, which is that after the initial jump, the crew of the Herc conducted several drops. Can you tell us about those?
Yeah, so we had 3 different bundles. We had the hypothermia gear, the tents, and toboggan. So yeah, really at that point, the weather kind of continued to deteriorate. It
was getting worse.
Yeah, the viz reduced a bit, and the wind shear in the lower levels was getting quite a bit worse. Wow. So we dropped a second disco ball, as we called it. And that's going to be how I'm going to fly. That is, we drop the disco ball, then I'm going to orbit around and then kind of line up on final. So I see the disco ball, then I see the lights from the target, and just kind of lining those 2 things up. So down to 600 or 700 feet in that case. We can do this under flare, but we opted not to just because I had everything I needed, and it would have been faster just to kind of do 3 quick drops. And that's what we did. We dropped, I can't remember the order we dropped them in. I think we dropped toboggan last maybe. But Vince was on the ground communicating with us. He basically had the DZ set up and the snowmobile on standby. So we'd drop it, and as soon as it came down, he would send him to go get it. We'd come back around and do the next one and the next one. And yeah, it all went pretty efficient. I think maybe we had a little bit of trouble getting on the first one as the wind kind of shifted us off target to try it again, but we got all 3 in there. think there was some difficulty with the toboggan on the ground. If you guys had to send the guy to retrieve that, is that the one that got away, or
It was one of the hypo gear.
hypo gear?
Yeah.
But that's it. Then once we do that, we kind of climb back. We close up and climb up a little bit, and we're just kind of in a support role.
From there, you're doing comms relay and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it sounded like that's all the equipment he was going to want from us. So we're just overhead and planning to stay there till we have to get out of there for fuel.
Okay. So Vince, how important was it to receive those supplies, and did the heated tents make a big difference?
Yeah, it was critical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was like make or break.
It was a make or break.
Yeah.
Yeah. All those people were hypothermic. That 2-person tent with 6 people packed in, it was not making it.
Yeah.
So the tent I elected to bring that we grabbed from, we fly with 2 normally. I brought an extra 2, was they're ice fishing tents.
Okay.
With no floor. They're easy to set. They take 30 seconds and they're up. So once we got them, Matt was in charge of setting up camp, and we set up camp downslope of the plane. So we were sheltered from the wind. He started setting up tent, and then moving those 6 people to the tents right away as I was doing medicine in the plane. So yeah, we set up camp, and then Alex and I were in the plane doing medicine to stabilize those people to bring them out of the Twin Otter, which was quite challenging. If you ever flew on a Twin Otter, the nice convenient exit door is on the tail, so that wasn't an option. So we had to go through the emergency exit. That was challenging.
Yeah, with 2 injured people.
Yeah, and they were bigger dudes.
Yeah.
Hardworking men.
Yeah.
So that was a challenge.
Yeah, that sounds tough.
But everybody having the mine rescue team was very beneficial for
Made
me.
a big difference.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So how did the weather affect your plans for getting the survivors out of that situation?
Again, like we're on top of that hill, we were just getting blasted by a very cold wind. Fortunately, it wasn't too cold. It was minus 15, I think, air temperature.
Yeah, that was another thing. Like there's a few things that lined up like that. Late December in the north of Yellowknife, it could easily be minus, 40 with a wind chill but luckily that, I think it was like minus 15 with the wind chills in the minus 20s.
Yeah. But still, we needed to get everybody out of that wind. That's why we chose to go down slope at a safe distance from that plane.
Mm-hmm.
And once we got everybody there, we were quite comfortable.
Yeah. You mentioned breaking the news to them that they wouldn't be leaving until the following morning. What was their reaction when they found that out?
I think they understood.
Yeah.
Yeah. They
stayed positive.
Stay positive and keep fighting, because often you see people start to shut down once the rescuer come in. It's almost like their mechanism is shutting down and then they stop fighting. Well, in that case, they're all hypothermic. And as you know, if you're hypothermic, you just stop moving. Like it's just going to make it worse. So, they took it well. They understood. They're also used to be up north.
Yeah.
They know how tough it is to get things going, and they knew the weather condition was a problem too.
Mm-hmm, for sure. That must have been a long night though. How was morale through the night?
It was good. So Alex and Matt were in charge of the 2 critical patients, and I took care of the rest of the 8 patient plus the 4 miners and my 2 guys. So there's a lot of back and forth from me going to 10 to 10. Some of them were able to sleep a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So we stayed with them for 14 hours.
Yeah.
So we enter a protocol that's called prolonged field care for us, where I like to tell my guys that we move more into nursing practicing than paramedicine. And that's where we're going to enter a protocol like antibiotic for trauma. Make sure everybody's fed. We fed everybody warm rations. make sure everybody drinks enough warm fluid.
Mhm.
I was able to get some orange juice from the plane crash, which we bring to a boil, and then people were able to drink warm juice. So a lot of sugar to get their temperature back up, right? Try to combat hypothermia that way. We had sleeping bags out. There's people that were sharing like bag and the focus was trying to get everybody warm throughout the night. And there's one patient there that I spent a lot of time chatting with. All of them were awesome people.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I know I mentioned it earlier. You get into a situation like this on their end and on our end, it's a situation we're going to remember for the rest of our life. And you create instant bonding with those people. And there's one of them, I'll name his name. It's Chris, and I still talk to him to this day. We everybody was stabilized. Everything was fine. So we chatted about hunting for 3 hours that night. I know it was 3 hours because I would open a comms window with RCC and call him every couple hours. But I chatted hunting with Chris, and to this day we still talk, and it was great. The morale was good.
Yeah.
Once they got rewarmed, because they weren't there for 8 hours, and we all know how it feels to be cold and lonely. It's pretty lonely when you crash in the Arctic and there's nothing around and you don't know what's your outcome.
Like they were on the ground for 8 hours before you got there, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Well, by the time they were in tent, close to 8 hours.
Yeah.
Enough to be cold, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And once we got the morale from initial contact to the morning were two different things.
Yeah, I believe it. All right. So, Jason, after 3 to 4 hours on scene, you were bingo fuel. Can you explain what that is to the audience and tell us how you and the crew got home?
Yeah, in simple terms, bingo fuel is a fuel number that you now only have enough fuel to leave where you currently are and go to your destination plus whatever reserves you need. So in SAR mission, we kind of have a couple bingo plans, we call them. One option we looked at was going to Yellowknife after. There were some complications with that. The runway wasn't in good condition. Plus, at some point, the rest of my crew, minus the SAR Techs, we're going to have to go to crew rest. And they weren't going to be ready for extraction till like 10 the next morning. So our plane also would have been outside in those conditions as well.
Mm-hmm.
So what I opted to do is around that 4 hour mark, we still had enough fuel and crew day left to go to Edmonton for a fuel stop and make it back to Winnipeg just at the end of, like an 18-hour crew day.
Mm-hmm.
So, at some point when we're ahead, we're not really doing much for them anymore. He's got his own comms set up. They have everything we need. We're just kind of flying around overhead, making noise and communicate with Vince, and he's got everything he needs. And we're coming up on that number that we could still make it back to Winnipeg through Edmonton. So that's what we did. We went to Edmonton, but a 1 hour turn there for a fuel stop, and ultimately got back to Winnipeg around like 6:30 a.m. the next morning.
Okay.
But in doing that, remember I said we had that backup crew, so they had been activated. The backup crew was able to come into the hangar shortly after we got there, take the same plane back up to Yellowknife, and get them out of the next morning.
Okay. Vince, what did it feel like when the Herc left? Is there like a big shift in how that feels when you're out in the wilderness like that?
Well, I knew they were going because Jay ran it by me a couple times. Like, okay, I'm X amount of time from bingo. Do you need anything? No, I'm good. Okay, I'm running to bingo. You sure you don't need anything else? Because it would have changed his plan.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think we got this handle. Okay, and then it goes quiet. You don't realize it. Jay mentioned it. We're making noise, but that makes a difference because I know I got support on my shoulder if I need. Even though I can't go back in, I know they're there for me. And then it just go quiet, and that's a weird feeling. Yeah. But I was on comms with RCC and I knew the plan. So, and we were set up. So that was all good, but it's, yeah.
Did the the passengers react at all when the Herc left?
No, I kept everybody updated. I was going tent to tent, and they knew the plan of the evac in the morning. They didn't really pay attention. They told me, though, when they heard the Herc coming before we jumped, they were all relieved with because
Yeah, no kidding.
the H got a specific sound.
Mhm,
You can hear it.
Yep. Vince, the next morning, the survivors were rescued via helicopter. What was that process like?
It was the morning. It was like nothing happened the night before. It was blue skies. There's no birds up there, but the birds would have been chirping. No wind, perfect weather. So everybody kind of were stiff and walked out of the tent, and everybody was pretty happy. And I was in comms with RCC again, and on radio comms with the Yellows when they came in, and we marked 3 landing sites for them. I think they were Eurostar. Yeah.
A-Star, yeah.
A-Stars? Yeah. Small helicopters.
Okay.
But 3 pilots came in. They put the birds down. They shut down for some reason, probably for safety. And I don't know. I wouldn't shut down in the middle of the Arctic in the fear that it wouldn't start again. But we loaded everybody there. I think they made 3 trips.
Okay. And they all went to the Diavik mine from there?
That's correct. That was about 16 kilometers away. Yeah. Short trip.
And that's where you guys went as well?
That's correct. Yeah, everybody went there.
What were the conditions of the survivors at that time? If whatever you can tell us.
Good. Yeah. Again, stiff and somewhat, injured.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly back issues.
Yeah.
And when you're after a big impact, like picture a car accident.
Yeah.
People like from a whiplash get very, very stiff because of like the muscle already spasm. Of course, we have medication to help relieve that, but you add mild hypothermia and sleeping in a cold tent.
Yeah.
For most of the night, it doesn't help.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody's kind of stiff, but as soon as we got walking and, I put them to task and everybody helped, loading the helicopter and all that stuff. The people that could, the pilot there was a lot of help for me. We went together in the plane, turned off the ELT and did a couple tasks like that. And everybody's pretty happy to get out of those tents and get in those chopper.
Do you and your team pack up all the tents and supplies that are dropped into the rescue site?
Yeah, we try to, as best as we can, to leave nothing behind. Sometimes it doesn't happen depending on the nature of the mission or the extraction. In this case, we left nothing behind, not even a piece of garbage, really. Same with the water jump when we did the summer before, the fall. We always bring everything back.
Okay.
If we can.
So you and the survivors were taken to the Diavik mine, and then how did you get home?
Yeah, so the helicopters brought us to the Diavik mine, where they fed us a warm meal. That was great.
Must have been nice.
It was great. And then Air Tindi dispatched 2 of their plane. They loaded all patients and all their gear, and then we flew straight to Yellowknife.
Okay. And then you guys were picked up by a Herc? In
Yellowknife, we were met by ambulance crew, also by family members. So that was emotional, to say the least. But everybody's, it was a great day, great outcome. Mm-hmm. And then, yes, the Herc crew that was dispatched from Winnipeg, they were there waiting for us.
Okay.
So we loaded all our gear into it and then RTB.
You guys must have been just wiped by that point.
Yeah, we slept on the way back.
I believe it. No, you didn't do OJT on the way back.
No.
Oh, man. Can you both speak about the importance of training and teamwork when completing a mission like this?
Yeah, I'll just say how it's really important. Like we take all the training we do, essentially put it into practice. And the whole mission from start to finish is teamwork. It's, you're talking to just the 2 of us, but there was like our first officer, Martin Tuzum. He was pretty new at the time. He did an excellent job. Jeremy Simmons, he was our nav. With Corey Stewart was our loadmaster. Those 2 guys did all the drops after the SAR Techs were out. Dan Tromlin was a flight engineer. So the flight engineer during all this, he's responsible for the airplane. So he's making sure that he's watching me fly basically and making sure all the engines are running properly. So he's kind of our safety valve with that. And then Vince's guys too, like everyone did an amazing job, like Matt and Alex.
Yeah.
So yeah, that mission was like it was the whole SAR team, JRCC, all the techs back at 435 that got the plane ready to go, the crew, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on my side, a couple of things I want to mention is to go back to my TCCC time and my training vision. Like, as I try to recreate realistic training to prepare us, but not only for SAR Techs or for me personally, for the entire crew. As we gain more experience, I'm sure Jay's doing the same thing. He's going to pass on that knowledge. And to give you an example, I could, on a normal training day, I could say, I want to drop my own bundle because that's my job. But I don't prepare it enough to help me when I actually need it in like that mission. So I'll always bring, on a normal training day, a piece of pie for everybody in the crew, because everybody, when it comes to a mission like that, everybody needs to contribute to it.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I think SAR Techs are good at, and I hope, is we're all very humble in the sense that we're doing so much. I'm not the best parachutist. I'm not the best mountaineer, not the best diver, but we're trying hard to be the best. And we understand our weakness and our strength, so we can exploit weakness and strength from other people. So when the diving mine rescue team came, I didn't push them aside. It's like, okay, what can you guys give me? What type of equipment do you have? What are you good at? Okay, let's make a plan now. I want you to do this, this, and this.
Mm-hmm. Jason, what was your biggest takeaway from this experience?
Yeah, I think just all the training we do and all the effort we put into it. You know, you never know when you're going to get the call on, December 27th, watching a hockey game, and hours later be doing a mission like that. Just knowing that you always have to be ready, you always have to be prepared. And you can't make that happen just at the last minute. It's months, years of preparation to be in a position individually and as a crew to be able to do a rescue like that.
And Vince, what was the biggest thing you learned during this mission?
I would say the biggest thing for that year, not only that mission, is stress is cumulative. So it might be a simple mission one day, and then you keep that stress level. Another mission later, it's just everything adds up. And it doesn't need to be, I'm not talking to SAR Tech in general, I'm talking about pilots or every crew member.
Mm-hmm.
Stress will add up. And at some point, you need to take the time to offload that stress. If you want to go back and do what you're expected to do. Does it make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
That's the thing I learned that year. Wicked year for me, but stress added up at the end of the year for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And you remember I talked about it shortly about the decision to jump into that blizzard with my two brand new team members. They're not brand new, but one was a year of experience and the other one was just off course. It was a lot of stress that I was not expecting. It didn't feel like a stress in the moment, but after the fact, I kind of realized that it was stressful for me in the moment.
Mm.
And it doesn't need to be SAR Tech. It could be in Jay as DAC saying, okay, guys, you can do it. I'm sure that was stressful for him, right?
Mm.
So for pilots or air crew out there, realize that you're adding a lot of stress. Take some time to reflect about it and heal from it before you go too far.
How did you process that? If you're comfortable answering that, you don't have to.
Yeah, let's go right in it. I was carrying a lot of stress, and people around me, my peers, were kind of realizing it.
Yeah.
There's things happening at home. We're we're human like everybody else, right? We can save lives, but we're also human. And my peers were the first one to realize it. And you know what I did initially? I lied.
Oh, yeah?
It's like, oh no, I'm fine. I'm okay.
Yeah.
Until that person made me feel bad for lying to him after 3 times. And I finally opened up.
Yeah.
And I just needed to talk about it. That's all I needed to do.
Yeah.
To make me feel better. And for someone to tell me, well, you know, you're not alone. You're not a superhero.
Yeah.
So we're all like that. Whether you recognize it or not, just take the time to talk about it. That's all you need.
For sure. Yeah. I can totally relate to that. And certainly my experience has been that opening up about mental health stuff, stress, whatever, is you will quickly realize you're not alone, that if you're feeling it, probably some of your peers are feeling the same thing. And it is like the best medicine is to be able to talk about it and take yourself away from just being alone with it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Vince, Jason, I really appreciate you taking the time to share your rescue story. It's always a privilege to hear firsthand accounts like yours, and it truly highlights the bravery and dedication of our service members. What you both did that day speaks volumes about the courage and teamwork that's required in these high-stress situations. So I wish you both continued success and safety in everything you do moving forward. And thanks again, guys, for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Enjoy it.
All right, that wraps up our 2-part series on the Air Tindi rescue with Jason Shaw and Vince C. Benoit. For our next episode, we'll be sitting down with Major Brian Hamza Kilroy to talk about lift or lead-in fighter training in Italy and flying the T-346 Master. Brian is an old comrade of mine from Phase 2 Harvard training, and I'm really looking forward to talking with him again. Do you have any questions or comments about anything you've heard in this show? Would you or someone you know make a great guest, or do you have a great idea for a show? You can reach out to us at thepilotprojectpodcast@gmail.com or on all social media at @podpilotproject. And be sure to check out that social media for lots of great videos of our RCAF and mission aviation aircraft. As always, we'd like to thank you for tuning in and ask for your help with the big 3. That's like and follow us on social media, share with your friends, and follow and rate us 5 stars wherever you get your podcasts. That's all for now. Thanks for listening. Keep the blue side up. See ya!
Engineer, shut down all 4. Shutting down all 4 engines.